So it was comics in my parents' basement for about 6 years, and then daily strip at UMass Amherst for 4 years, and then I moved to Eugene, Oregon when I got out of college, other side of the country, and it was time to put out some comic books. And things started to happen. I noticed there was this Cerebus coming out more or less monthly, and whatever you thought of it, I mean, the guy had the ball rolling pretty good for an indie. And then there was the Comics Journal. The Comics Journal was a real sign of life. You know, kind of the Comics Buyer's Guide seemed to be less interesting, but the Comics Journal was like, they're just stumping for like improvement in intelligent comics. I thought it was pretty cool. And so I'm like, I'm going to publish. And then, all of a sudden you had Weirdo with Crumb. I'm kind of like, what's he doing with all this weird amateur work? But, it was cool. And there was Raw, which was great, but Weirdo was more interesting to me. So I started putting out comic books. And, what was I doing though? What did I want to like write about? I mean, I'd had, at age 19 up at college, I'd had a mushroom experience that included ego death. And it was like, took me years to figure out what had happened. Still working on it actually, but I wanted to investigate what reality was. So I started doing that with my comics, with Dog Boy Comics, just working off the top of my head, investigating the nature of reality. And I will tell you that bladder acid, good clean bladder acid, was around in those days, and I took many journeys with that, and it was a good tool and a good way to go for a while. I will say that I'd kind of fallen into being a beer lizard, and that was that kind of weighed me down and poured some cement in my shoes a little bit. But I just basically around cluttered the early years of the 80s, late 70s. Bladder was around, and it was a helpful tool. And and I think it's great that psychedelics these days are being applied to different therapies for addiction and for depression and anxiety. But I have to say, I think that just general personal use of psychedelics, mushrooms, and actually clean acid is a healthy thing for human beings and the human race, in all sincerity. And I don't like it when some of these people who are proponents of the therapeutic effect, they talk down about personal use. And I'm here to say that personal use is valid and important also. Anyway, so, after the 80s, I also learned how to write comics. Good.